chickens. Another very common question, how should I build my coop? And a very important one. That's probably your most important, more important than a chicken breed. Actually, is can you keep it safe and keep it going? So that's where you need to know what to do with your coop. So without further ado, I'll turn that over to Josh Hudgins.
Well, my name is Josh Hudgins, and I do own a company called Mobile Chicken Coops. Our website is mobilechinconcoops.com. I've raised chickens since I was a kid, since 3 or 4 years old, with the family, and then have raised chickens, built coops, different houses we lived in and whatnot. And started with the mobile coops, building them for myself about 4 or 5 years ago. And we used to hatch and sell a lot of chickens, and so I had people start showing interest in our coops. And so that's kind of how we started as a business. Started selling some of our coops, and then we've developed our line from there to where we do it full time now. We have a line of stationary coops we build also. I give you a lot of tips as far as building runs, materials to use on building runs, those kind of things. We do on-site installations, we do conversions, sheds, playscapes, new on-site, if you're looking for something large. I've got some customers that are up to 100 chickens that we build larger on-site coops that are set up for larger operations. So we kind of run the full gamut. With our new facility that we moved into in Burnett, we're kind of a one-stop shop. We've got chickens from 6 weeks to 4 months old. We carry a few guineas. This time of year we'll have a few ducks, a few geese, some of those kind of things. We have our own line of feed that's custom milled. It's a non-processed feed. It's priced in between non-GMO organic feeds and just regular feeds. So we're kind of a one-stop shop. We carry the feeders, waters, pretty much anything you could want for chickens. And we can also sell you materials. If you need 10 feet of wire, we can cut and sell you just the materials you need for building a coop as well. The new guidelines with chickens, as a general rule, coop space is around 4 square feet per chicken for the actual coop area. The chicken run, the area that they have in addition to the chicken coop, is around 10 square feet per bird. With the mobile coops, it's a little bit different. We keep our numbers at 4 square feet per bird, primarily because you're constantly moving them on fresh grass. They're not confined to one area of the yard where they've eaten everything down to a bare dirt. So those are kind of the new guidelines. When I was a kid, you gave them about a square foot per bird, and that's not all the space they had in the chicken coop. So as it's become more popular, backyard flocks and whatnot, the numbers have changed over time. But that's from the latest information that I've seen out there. That's kind of what the recommendations are now. So keep that in mind when you're building your coop. Space requirements for how many birds that you're going to have. The biggest thing to look at when you go to build a chicken coop is predators. Everything likes chicken, from owls, hawks, dogs, large cats, you name it, possums, raccoons, coyotes, snakes can even get after them. Not really likely that they would climb over. Possible they could dig in. Where most people have issues is where you're running a 9 or 13 strand barbed wire fence, where they can actually squeeze through the barbed wire and get in. If you're running a 4-inch mesh, at least 4 foot tall fence, not too likely unless there's a low spot that they can get in under the fence or something that's loose enough that they can dig. And in a lot of cases, unless your animals are right next to the fence, they're not going to be as likely to know where to go for those animals. So, if you run goats or something and they're constantly against the fence and they know they're there, they're going to try to find a way in much more so than if you're 100 yards, your coop's 100 yards away from the fence. But Yeah, when you go to build a coop, just keep in mind that everything likes chicken, and kind of build from that mindset. Generally speaking, a good rule of thumb is if you can't break into it, they're not going to be able to either. So, you know, if it's something that you can readily get into, you might want to do some improvements to make it a little more secure. Wire size, the half-inch hardware cloth wire is by far the best wire as far as wiring the outside of the coop. Doing a double layer of wire with like a 2-inch by 4-inch welded wire mesh, something that's even heavier. If you've got coyotes, wild dogs, you're out where we're at, bobcats, mountain lions can be an issue. House cats generally are not a problem except for younger birds, from my experience. If you've got a big tomcat, maybe so. But generally, the house cats that are in my area, yeah, and if you're raising bantams, yeah, they could be an issue with the bantams, for sure also. As far as recycled materials, about the only thing you really want to stay away from is older treated lumber that has arsenic and those kind of things in it. That's something you wouldn't want to use. Pallets and shipping crates make good bases for building chicken coops. As far as going, being very cost effective, because you generally pick those up for free. If you have to pay anything, it'll be minimal. And there's a company out there called Wonderside that makes a wood preservative that you can treat pallets. It's an all natural product. You can treat pallets, you can treat untreated lumber with it, and it basically petrifies the wood. So you're basically making your own treated lumber that way with that product. Wonderside, there's a link on our website to their website. It has more information about their products and things. We don't yet, but it's something we're going to start adding in. Mainly just the preservative. They also have a full line of pet care products that are all natural, non-toxic as well. From spraying the yard to treating animals as well. So they're a good source for anything to do with pests in general. If you look on Craigslist, a lot of times you can find older playscapes or even sheds that can be easily converted into a chicken coop, at a minimal cost. The main thing with sheds is you want to have a lot of ventilation if you do use a shed, especially in the south. Up north, yeah, you want to have something a little more sturdy for them in the wintertime, but in the south, it never gets cold enough here for them to really have an issue. So if you do use a shed for a chicken coop, either take out one wall and screen it, or add plenty of windows, something where you can ventilate that shed very well. Ventilation is key with chickens, because if they're in an atmosphere where it's moist and can breed disease and whatnot, they have a very weak immune system. So if you're breeding that kind of stuff inside the chicken coop, it's going to be very unhealthy for them. So the more what they call open air designs are, generally speaking, are much better in the south. They do work in the north. They do need a little more shelter in the wintertime, but in the south, that's one of the best ways to go. As far as roosting space, average bird needs about 9 to 10 inches per bird for roosting space. So when you're building your roosting area, account for that for however many birds that you have. That's just kind of a general guideline. Materials wise, if you design and build your coop on 4x8 dimensions, you will maximize your lumber usage and materials usage. Siding comes in 4x8 sheets. You can readily get 2x4s and 8-foot lengths, and you'll have minimal waste in doing that. It also, just from a building standpoint, it's a lot easier to build things square or rectangular than start cutting angles and building A-frames and those kind of things. If you've got experience with woodwork, it's not that difficult to do, but for the first timer or for somebody that doesn't have that much experience, stick with anything that's square or rectangle and make it a lot easier on you.